Hello everyone and welcome back. So, it has been a while since I recorded the first 3 episodes. I recorded those all in one sitting and kind of waited a little while, partially to see the response and partially because work has kept me pretty busy, but hopefully I can get a couple more episodes recorded here. So I've got a basic block tutorial ready to go. There's a couple other random things I want to cover really quickly. So the first is how to install other mods into your development environment. So you have your development folder where you extracted your Forge stuff to, well, you actually created a Forge folder inside your dev folder if you followed my tutorial. So you'll have your dev folder, mine's named Abyss. Then you'll have your Forge 1.11 folder and your source folder, and maybe some other junk like I do, maybe libs. Inside your Forge folder, you may have to wait until after you run the game the first time, but you'll notice there's a lot of folders in here like you'll see in a typical Minecraft instance, like config and mods, and these folders work exactly like you would expect them to. If you need to load with an extra mod, just drop it in your mods folder. I recommend downloading a version of JEI so that you can easily access items in your mod. And once you try to debug your server, it'll create the eula.txt. If you've ever set up a server, you know what this is. This is the typical EULA. It'll start with this being false, and you have to change it to true. Otherwise, the server just crashes every time. So I think that's all I wanted to say for right here. So let's go ahead and hop back to Eclipse for now. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl+ twice to increase the text size here. And let's see, another thing we can do is, how do you do it? Ctrl+M. That will get rid of all the stuff on the side and leave you with just the editor windows if you need more screen space. I have a 1440p monitor and I'm recording at 1080p, which the text is still legible at the default font size if you're watching the video in 1080p, but I understand that some people may have lower resolution monitors or your connection may just not be very good that day. It happens to me, happens to all of us. So I'm going to try to remember to bump up the text size whenever I record here. So that's what it normally is, and this is with it increased 2 levels. And again, that's Ctrl+ and Ctrl- to change the text size, and Ctrl+M to get rid of all the extra junk on the side if you need more editor window space. And if you're also, and again, this is Eclipse, so let's see, what was that other shortcut? Ctrl-Shift-L. This will bring up a list of all shortcuts in Eclipse, or, well, I assume that's all shortcuts. It's a very long list. I don't even know most of these, but I think I've covered some of the most useful ones, like Ctrl-Shift-T, Open Type, Ctrl-Shift-O, I think it is, for Organize Imports, and I think Ctrl-Shift-F is Auto Format, if you choose to use that. I'm trying to move away from using the auto format. I used to abuse that quite a bit, but I don't know. It's got its good points and its bad points. So in my own time, I've gone back and commented everything. So here's the mod items class. I've tried to comment everything and explain exactly what it does to the best of my ability. But we don't need that right now. We're actually doing a block today. So adding a block is very similar to adding an item. There's just some extra steps involved. So I would go ahead and create a mod blocks class. This is going to be very similar to the mod items class, so I would put it in a package like init, like I've done here. And let's go ahead and bring up mod items again. So we're going to do basically the same thing here, and, well, actually I don't even need that. I've got it copied over on Notepad++ over there. So we're going to have the same 2 methods. So public static void init, and this is where we're going to do the block registration. And let's also create a client init method. init client. Cannot spell today, apparently. It's alright, we'll make it. And give it an item model mesher. And because the item model mesher only exists on the client side, make sure you add that side only side.client annotation. Control-Shift-O to fix the import errors. And that's our modblocks class for now. So let's go ahead and create our blocks. So I've already created a block package here. So create a new class in there. Call it block tutorial. And again, I'm sticking with the convention of prefixing everything with block, item, and so on and so forth. It just makes finding them a bit easier, especially when you're using the open type dialog. And our superclass is net.minecraft.block.block. Make sure it's the Minecraft class. I think there is some other block class, like this thing. I don't even know what that is, but that's not what we need. That's not what we need either. Make sure it's the net.minecraft one. And finish. So we got an error here. It wants a constructor. We could choose either of these. I've never actually bothered with setting the map colors. I think that's the color of the pixel when you're generating a map. That may also work with, say, journey map. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and take the material out of our parameter list here. Now we still need to pass the material into the super constructor, if that's the correct term, where we're calling super here. But since we're only using this class for a single block, we can just specify it here. So the material affects a lot of how the block behaves, what tools can harvest it by default, what sound effects it makes. In a lot of cases, you'll typically have rock or iron. But I would encourage you to look through the list of materials and see what is appropriate for your block. We are just going to go with rock. And I do apologize if you can hear any sounds outside my room. That's one of the disadvantages of recording during the daytime here. Okay, so that's all I'm going to put in the constructor for now. There's normally a couple more things I put in the constructor, but we'll get to those in a little bit once we see the problems that we have. And I'm going to override one method. Similar to the item, we need to get our proper unlocalized name. If we don't override this, I believe it is tile.null.name, which is not what we want. We want, and this is going to be very similar to our item, except we prefix it with tile. So it's tile dot and tutorial dot resource prefix plus names dot tutorial block. And yes, I've already added our name constant over here, very similar to our item. We are sticking with lowercase letters and underscores, so tutorial underscore block. And again, I highly recommend that you store the names of your blocks in some class like this. As I've written in this comment up here, hard coding them is bad because you're going to have these in multiple places. If you mess them up in one place, nothing's going to work properly. And it's the key there. And again, this will turn into tile.tutorial tutorial underscore block. And when it tries to get the localized name for this block, it's going to append a .name to it like that. So let's go ahead and add it to our localization file. So in your localization file, you can also add comments by putting a £sign in like that. So I typically divide mine up into blocks, items, and other things. For now, we're just going to have localizations for our block and item names, but you can do a lot with localization files, and that's something I'll cover later on. So just like I typed it before with the .name added on, and we'll just call this tutorial block. So now before I forget, let's go ahead and add the modblocks function calls to our proxies. So as I've said before, we're going to be letting our mod route all of its calls to the proxies. One thing you could do is have all this stuff in your mod class, but the design solution I've come up with here is to allow our proxies to do everything to make sure they come up on the right sides. So we are not going to modify this class, we're going to stick with the proxies. Now I normally do blocks before items, I don't think it really matters, but we'll go ahead and stick with that. So we call modblocks.init and our common proxies pre-init. And modblocks.clientInit. And here I could assign that item model mesher to a variable here so I don't have to have this big hunk of text twice. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, what did I press? Item model mesher is assigned the value of that chunk. So we're calling our modblocks.init client, passing in our mesher, Control-Shift-O to fix the import error, in our client proxies init. So again, that's common proxies pre-init and client proxies init. The model registration needs to happen a phase later than the registration of the blocks and items themselves. Okay, so our tutorial block is ready to go. So let's go ahead and go back to mod blocks and actually create the block. So again, I'm going to create a public static instance in our mod blocks class so that we can have this block ready to use if we need it. So you are tutorial block. And what convention did I go with in mod items? I just called it tutorial item. Oh. I was thinking something seemed backwards there. Block tutorial block. And well, we could assign that up there. I'll assign it in init. Again, I don't think it really matters if you assign it up there or not. I'm gonna do it down here just so that we know that we have control of when it's assigned, because if we assign it up there, it's who knows when that could be assigned. It could be assigned as soon as we call init, or it might be assigned earlier if some mod is trying to access our mod blocks class for some odd reason. You never know, it could happen. So let's take another look at mod items. I should just leave this darn class open. So we've got 3 lines of code. This one got wrapped when I auto-formatted, I guess. But it's 3 lines of code in each function, basically. Our block is going to be a bit more complicated than that. So it looks like I am creating a resource location variable, and why is that? Because I have to use it twice. Okay, so yeah, let's create our resource location. This is very similar to what we did in the second line of the mod items init there. So we're going to pass it our mod ID and the name of the block. Next, we're going to assign the block variable up there. So basically the exact same thing as we did in the first line of mod items init. And just like with the items, we need to set its registry name, since we've got our resource location saved in a variable up there. And why are you... Have I lost my marbles? Let's try retyping that line. Okay, I have no idea why that was showing an error. It's probably just Eclipse being Eclipse. Okay, so tutorial block dot set registry name, pass it our resource location. This is functionally identical to this line over here. It's just that we're saving that resource location up above because we are going to need it a second time. Next, we're going to call gameregistry.register and pass it our tutorial block. Now we've got one more thing we need to do, And this is where blocks are a bit more complicated. So a block is actually basically the bits that make up the terrain in a Minecraft world. They're the cubes and such that make up each chunk of the world. An item is something that can exist in an inventory. And when you say mine a block and pick it up and put it in your inventory, you are actually picking up an item that represents that block. So when you're making a block, you need not only a block, but an item to represent it. So we are going to have to register an item block as well. So in this case, we're just going to use the vanilla item block class. And we're going to pass it one parameter, our tutorial block, and we're going to need that resource location yet again. So really quickly, let's take a look at the item block class. So you can see it extends items. So it is an item. It's an item that represents a block. As you can see, it takes a block as a parameter, and it has a few functions in it. So we've got onItemUse, which is for placing the block. Some stuff related to tile entities, and so on and so forth. You can look through this class on your own. It's not very long, 200 lines. So we're done with our init. Now let's take care of the model side of this mess. We can't really specify a model for a block directly. We're going to need an item that represents that block. So I guess one thing that we could have potentially done is save that item block up above, or actually I don't know if that works. I think it would actually, but I've never tried that. What we're going to do is we're going to call item.getItemFromBlock and give it our tutorial block. So this will give us the item for our block. Now, same as with mod items, we're going to create a model resource location, call it model, and we need to pass in our resource prefix plus the name of the block and a string containing the word inventory in all lowercase. And I'll go ahead and auto format that because the increased text size, it's way too long. Now we're going to call model loader.register item variance. This is why we need the item. So we've got our item assigned to a variable up there. And then we just give it the model. Finally, we're going to call measure.register item. I don't know why it always chooses the wrong method. Item 0 model. And that's it. So we've got 5 lines in our init and 4 lines in init client. So that's quite a bit more than the 3 and 3 we did in mod items. And as I said in the previous tutorial, you could compress this down quite a bit. You could add some functions to this class to streamline the process a little bit. So with this, everything should be functioning, except we haven't created our models yet. So I'm going to go ahead and use that script I wrote before. Again, this is a Python script, so if you wanted to use this yourself, you would have to install Python if you don't already have it installed. Or you could just copy the JSON files from the GitHub and modify them for your items and blocks. Either way will work. If you have a large number of JSON files, I do recommend that you write or use some script to generate them for you. Otherwise, you'll probably go insane. So for my JSON maker, we're going to pass it the parameter block, then the name of our block, tutorial_block. And since the texture is going to have the same name, that's all we need to give it. Now this actually created 3 files instead of the one that the item had. So under block states, we've got a tutorial block.json file, and these are all going to be the same name. They're just in different locations. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So this is a block state JSON. It's not really a model. This is It's a bit difficult to explain. Basically, block states are what replaced metadata, so we can have multiple blocks in the same block ID, and your block state JSON file will have to reflect that. And this is actually one place where my JSON maker script fails. It does not work for creating the block states for metadata blocks correctly. You still have to do those by hand. In this case, we just have a list of variants, and we're going to have a variant called normal, and our model should look like that. It should be your mod ID and the name of your block, separated by a colon, of course. And as always, the JSON files are pretty delicate, so you have to make sure everything is in the right spot. That's why I recommend that you copy a JSON file that you know already works and modify it, or use a script to generate them for you. Okay, let's back out of block states, go into models and blocks. So we've got another tutorial block.json. So this one is actually a model file. So we've got a parent, and we're going to set the parent to block cube all. This is what most blocks are going to be. And we've got a texture, which is pretty much what you would expect. Mod ID colon blocks slash and the name of your block. Or that should be changed to whatever your texture is going to be called if it's different from the name of your block. Finally, under item, we've got another tutorial block.json, and in this case our parent is actually our block model, and our texture is the same thing as it was for the item. And I can't really explain it any better than that. I still don't really get the JSON system. It's confusing. It's why people hated 1.8 and to some extent versions after that as well. But again, that's something that you really have to use. There's probably a way around it, but you're much better off just working with it. So I'm actually going to do something a bit different than I did before. I'm going to just copy, or I'm going to actually just cut the block states and models folder. Again, this is an output directory that the script outputted the files to, so we actually need to move these into our resources folder. So that's resources, assets, your mod ID. Then you can see we got the block states and models here, so I'm going to paste those in, just let those merge with the existing folders. So we can see our block state JSON is there, our block JSON is there, and our item JSON for the block is there, along with our previous items JSON file. Okay, finally we need a texture. So again, vanilla Minecraft uses 16 by 16. So I'm going to stick with that. And where are my toolbars? Okay, paint.net, it's not the brightest program at times. Okay, there we go. So, what should we do for our block texture? It's got to be something really awesome. What tool? Oh, I've already selected the tool I want. Okay. Let's turn anti-aliasing off. Hardness 100%. Brush width of 2 should be okay. So let's see if I can create something really awesome here. Perfect. Actually, scratch that. I don't like that. Let's see if we can do a little bit better. That's a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so we're going to save that under Resources, Assets, Mod ID, Textures, Blocks. And it looks like I forgot to remove that file before, so let's go ahead and just save over it. So there we go. And to make sure Clip sees our resources, go ahead and select the project, press F5. And let's go ahead and debug. Assuming I didn't forget any steps, this should work. Now, unfortunately, Minecraft does take a long time to launch, and I think I cut it out each time before, except for one point where I talked through part of it. But let's go ahead and just watch and see how long this takes to launch up. Now I've got several mods here, so it does take a bit longer, and I think 1.10.2 was actually worse than 1.11 here, but it's still pretty bad. Minecraft takes a long time to launch. Ever since, I think 1.10 at least, maybe even 1.9, it's been like this. It just takes forever because of the stupid JSON models. I assume that's a big part of it, and I think that's a big part of why Minecraft 1.10 uses so much memory now. You can hardly run a mod pack on 4 gigabytes of RAM anymore. In fact, my development environment here, I think I actually had to increase the memory I allocated to it because it was running out of memory. But no, I haven't actually changed that on 1.11, but I think I had to bump it up to 2 gigs or 4 maybe. Although I think that was after I added Tinker's Construct to my mods folder. Alright, there we go. So that's a Minecraft launch with a handful of mods. Takes quite a while. There was actually one other thing I forgot to mention, and I can't remember if I tested this, but under program arguments here, you can put a double hyphen, username, space, and then your username to set your username. And I think that works. I haven't actually tested it. And you can see under VM arguments, you may recognize those as setting the memory, so you can change the XMX to change the amount of memory you've allocated. Okay, so it did set my name. It doesn't load my skin, probably because we're not in a proper Minecraft environment. I can't get authenticated properly, but it did set my username at least. And yeah, cats attacking my door, if you can hear that. So we got our tutorial block. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a keeper. So you may be wondering, how do I get these items from the mod in my inventory? Well, there's 2 ways you could do it. One is to install JEI, as I mentioned before, and type in the name of your item, or @ and your mod ID, like that. So we can see we got our block and our item. Another is to use the give command, and if you're not familiar, that's give command your username, or if you haven't set your username and it's assigning you a random one, you can just use @p, which is probably faster either way. And then basically the fully qualified name of your item. So tutorial : tutorial _ item. We'll give you one of those. And change that to block to get one of the block. So we've got our block. It's got its localized name and everything. There is one little problem with it, though, that I'm not quite happy about. That. It breaks instantly, and because we set the material to rock, it won't give us the block back unless we use a pickaxe. And maybe that's what you want, maybe it's not. So let's go ahead and see about fixing that. So back in our block class here, let's go under the constructor, and let's set hardness, and I can't remember how these values go. Let's try 4.0 for now. And it does take a float, so make sure you got the F on the end. Actually, let me look at another one for reference. Okay, so Gem Oris 3.0. And you can see I've got a couple other method calls here. This is actually a pretty good example here. So set resistance is another thing we can do. This is the block's resistance to explosions. So I don't know, maybe 10.0. Now let's go ahead and set the hardness to like 5 just for the heck of it. Another thing we can do is set the sound type. I believe this is done automatically based on the material in most cases, but you can use this to specify a different sound if you want. So I don't know, let's try ladder, see what that does. finally we can set a harvest level so that it requires a specific level of tool, not necessarily a pickaxe, but typically this is a pickaxe, so you could specify the tool class, which is just the name of the tool in all lowercase, and then a specific harvest level. So say we didn't want wooden pickaxes to harvest it, we could set that to 1. 2 would require at least an iron pickaxe, 1 is stone, 3 is diamond, 4 is above diamond, which would be like mod-only pickaxes. And you can set that number to any number you want. I think like the metallurgy mod, for instance, has harvest levels going all the way up to 7. So with these extra methods in here, we've customized our block a bit more in how it's broken, and also the sound effects, which could be kind of amusing. So we're just about done here. We've got a basic working block. Just gotta wait for Minecraft to finish loading so we can make sure that those new method calls are working properly. So next episode, I'm not actually sure what I want to do. There's still several topics I want to cover. One is adding a localization helper and doing more with localizations. I think I'll put that off a bit longer. One thing I didn't cover last time was actually doing a build script so you can build and distribute your mod. So that might be a good thing to cover sooner rather than later, although I imagine anyone who's just following along, your mods may not be quite to a state that you're ready to release. Maybe they are, who knows. But let's go ahead and place our blocks here. They make a ladder sound, which is kind of amusing, but they take a lot longer to break now because I set the hardness to 5. I also can't break them anywhere near as quickly with my fist, since they're rock and they require a pickaxe to harvest. And you can see in wit up there, it's we have to have a level 1 pickaxe, so if I grab some kind of wooden pickaxe, that one will do. I can't harvest this block at all. It's going to take forever, and it's not going to give me the block when I finally break it. Also, that ladder sound is very special. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, you can see it did not give me the block at all. I have to use at least a stone level pickaxe to get these. So there we go, that's our tutorial block. So thank you for watching this video. Again, if you have anything in specific you would like to be covered, be sure to let me know so I can do that. Otherwise, I'll try to come up with something appropriate to cover next time. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on whatever the next video is.